Hey guys, my name is Trevor Daly with MagMod. Guys, today we're going to talk about light control. When you fire a light out of your flash, typically it goes everywhere, right? It spills, it bounces off the walls, all over to the side. Well, if you don't want that to happen, if you want your light to just be precise, you want a focused beam, you want it to be exactly where you need it in your photograph, but not everywhere, then that's what I'm going to show you today. So we're going to use two modifiers, the MagGrid and the MagSnoot. I'm going to talk a little bit about the difference between each and where I might use one and versus the other. So the great thing about the MagGrid, guys, is you can actually stack these on top of each other. And as you stack them on top of each other, your beam of light gets narrower and narrower. So let me give you some examples. Here you can see our model standing up against a wall. I just shot this bare flash first just to see as that light kind of spread across the wall. It's about 8 to 10 feet back from my subject, camera right, just a little bit, just outside the frame. You can see here I added one grid to the shot, and look how it narrows that light down. It basically takes it from bouncing everywhere down to about 40 degrees, and then I put it on again and it goes down even tighter than that. Each time you add a grid, you get this narrower and narrower light. So where would you use this when you're out shooting? Well, I like to use it when I'm trying to hide things from my scene or bring attention to other places. So let's start with the hiding part. Here we have a scene out on the street. You can see there's basically a ton of lights around. But look at how that light is just everywhere. We got tons of ambient light, right? And I'm like, I don't want all that light. So basically what I'm gonna do is in my camera, I'm gonna up my aperture, I'm gonna lower my ISO, and I'm gonna raise my shutter speed so that everything just goes dark, okay? Once I have that, now I'm gonna put a grid on my flash, I'm gonna aim it towards my subject, and I get something like this. And so you can see now, I get this dark frame, but I have light exactly where I want it in my shot. I use this when I'm shooting couples as well. Here's an example where the couple was shooting on a driveway, there's valet cars behind them. I'm able to darken everything down and get that light focused entirely on them. Now another way I like to use the grids is when I'm doing composite shots. So when I do composites, it's a set of like 7 different photographs in one, right? And let me just show you what this shot looked like before I put a MagGrid on and put light on each one of my subjects. Here's what it originally looked like. So you can see that light going everywhere, right? Now what I do is I darken everything down. I have my assistant walk up to each person with a MagGrid and put that light right on their face, and I get this. And so we get this light just on each person individually as opposed to light everywhere. I take that photograph, those 7 photographs inside Photoshop, and I just layer on top of each other and I say where I want that light to be, and I get this beautiful shot. Now guys, this reminds me of this word called chiaroscuro. Chiaroscuro is actually an Italian word, and it comes from the old the oil painting era when the techniques of Rembrandt and Leonardo da Vinci and Caravaggio, these amazing oil painting artists that would basically use light and contrast, light and darkness, to bring dimension to their photographs. And that's how I love using these techniques in the grids, is basically putting light exactly where I want it without putting it all over my scene. Now you might be thinking, well, you're only using this in the dark environments, but I like to shoot in daylight. The thing is, guys, you can actually use this in daylight as well very effectively. So here's a shot that I had set up, and it looked great. I mean, I was happy with the model, but unfortunately she was underexposed right there, right? The thing is, the background was exposed properly, and I knew that if I brought my exposure correctly on the model, then my background's gonna be super bright. And so what I want to do is I want to fix that by putting a flash on my subject. However, if I put a flash on my subject without the grid, then all of a sudden I light up all that wood in the foreground as well. So what I did is I put my flash pointed towards the subject, I put a grid on it, and now I get the light exactly where I want it, on her, without lighting up all that wood, keeping my background same exposure, and just get a beautiful shot that way. So I use the grid even in daylight. Now here's another way I like to use the grid. This is kind of a special effect of sorts. In this shot, I actually put 2 flashes behind my subject. Each one had gels. So they look like this. This is a MagMod gel. So I have a CTO, which is an orange on one side, and then I have kind of a lavender blue on the other side. Now I aim these towards the camera, but here's the thing, guys. When you aim them towards the camera without the grid, you get something like this. Now the difference is, here you can see how it's all washed out, like the front of it's washed. Now it's not a bad shot. It's still, to me, I think it looks pretty cool, but it's different. In this next shot, when I added the grids, you can see that there's a lot more contrast in the photograph. And the reason is because that light is coming into the lenses, but it's not washing across all of it. In other words, I'm controlling my light down to a beam as opposed to going everywhere. So this is one way I like to use the MagGrids and MagGels together, is kind of create these flares. Now you can do this if you want to create, like, let's say, a sun flare behind your subject. What a great way of being able to do that. Put that CTO gel and the grid, and you get this really cool sun flare behind them. So another way I like to use the MagGrids is actually as a rim light. And basically here I'm using it as kind of a full body rim light. This is an example where I actually sprayed some atmosphere aerosol in the air just so you can see it, and then I put a CTO gel behind my subject. And you can see that light just goes from the top of her head all the way down to her waist. It just, fills up the whole scene. But it's not bouncing everywhere. If I didn't have a grid on here, that light would be literally lighting up the walls to either side. This was shot in a parking garage, so there wasn't a whole lot of room for that light to travel without hitting off stuff and actually illuminating those walls. So I wanted to hide those cinder block walls, but I wanted to be able to light up my subject with that rim light, and that's what you're seeing here. One other example of where I use the MagGrid is during receptions when people are out dancing, having a good time. Have you ever shot your flash and had it bounce off the people that are closest to your camera, and so they're all bright, but your subject in the background doesn't really get as much light? Well, to avoid that, I'll put the grid on my flash, I'll walk around, and now I'm shooting light directly straight ahead, right towards my subject, and the people on the edges don't get all that light hitting them because, again, I'm focusing my light straight ahead. So here's an example where we use that. Just, they're having fun, the groomsmen in the middle of the pile, and they're all, giving him a hard time, and we get that light right on him without getting that focus on the outside edges. So those are some examples of the MagGrid. Let's go into the MagSnoot and talk about the differences. So as I said, guys, here's the MagSnoot. Now the MagSnoot is kind of a 4-in-1. The MagGrids you can stack on top of each other. The MagSnoot is kind of all built in one here. Like the MagGrid, it's all silicone. You can literally just crunch this up, throw it in your pocket if you want, throw it in the deepest, darkest corner of your bag. Nothing's gonna happen to it. These guys are durable. What's nice about this though is at these different levels, you can literally just pull these out to adjust it. And what I mean by that is, here's a shot in studio with the flash, no MagSnoot. We add a MagSnoot at one level, and then as we pull the levels out, you can see that it's getting tighter and tighter, more and more narrow, kind of get this real focused beam of light. Here's an example of the MagSnoot next to the MagGrid. So the MagSnoot's on the left and the MagGrid is on the right, and you can kind of see the pattern of light. The MagSnoot is a little bit different pattern than the MagGrid. The MagGrid kind of has a little bit more fall off. The MagSnoot's a lot more focused and tighter beam there. So here's an example of how I would use the MagSnoot. In this example, I'm basically, if you look really close, you might be able to notice the MagSnoot firing. I didn't edit it out because I actually thought it might be effective for you guys to see this, but the MagSnoot's on the left side of the frame there, and you see just a tiny bit of light, but look at how it's lighting up my subject there. Now, again, she is right next to that same wall that you saw in that last picture, but yet that light is not falling off on that wall. It is all focused entirely on her. Now, something worth noting here, guys, when you are focusing that light with a MagSnoot, it can be extremely aggravating if you put it in what you think is the right position, go back to take the shot, and then you realize your light's not hitting your subject just right. So what I like to do is I like to stand next to my flash, I like to point it right at my subject, hit the test button a few times, and make sure it's hitting them perfectly. Once I get that light on them perfectly, or if my assistant's doing that, then I'll run back over to my spot and then I'll start shooting. So it's a great way of just hit that modeling light or that test button a few times, make sure your light's just perfect, and then go back and start shooting. Here's another example of where I used it during a wedding. The bride standing in front of a table had coffee pots on it. And I just put my MagSnoot up, aimed it right at her, made sure that she didn't, that light didn't fall off on the coffee pots, and I was able to get this nice stream of light, very focused beam right on her without illuminating the rest of the room that wasn't so pretty, right? So the main reason I like to use MagSnoots though is I like to use them as a hair light. Now hair lights can make a huge difference in the quality of the photograph. A hair light is essentially a focused beam of light that hits the subject right on the hair or the shoulders just to create that little bit of separation from the background. Here you can see it camera left, it would be on the subject's right-hand side, and it's just illuminating that hair just a little bit just to create that bit of separation so that her hair and her shoulders and body all stand out from the scene. Here's another example a little bit closer up. You can see on the left side of the frame, on her shoulder, right shoulder or right side of her head there, you can see that light just barely touching the edge of her hair there. So there's another example of a hair light. That's where I like to use the MagSnoot the most. And then let's go back to this example with the MagGrid. You guys remember when I showed you this for a rim light? Well, let me show you the difference between the MagGrid and the MagSnoot here. Here, the MagSnoot, you can see it's a very focused beam of light right on my subject's hair versus the MagGrid where it was the whole body, right? So the MagSnoot, right on the hair, the shoulders, very, very focused, very narrow, tight beam of light. Another way I like to use the MagSnoot is when I'm shooting products. So rings, shoes, flowers, things like that where I want just a little bit of light, but I don't want it to spread all over my scene. So in this shot here with the ring, if I had not used the MagSnoot, my light would have spread all the way out. It would have illuminated the wall that the ring was sitting on. It would have illuminated the water behind it, basically ruining the effect of that light that was bouncing off the water, and it wouldn't have looked nearly as pretty. Here, by using a MagSnoot, I'm able to focus the light without having it spread everywhere in my scene. And then lastly, another reason I like to use the MagSnoot is when I'm just creating kind of a light to complement my scene. So, maybe I'm shooting a cook inside of her kitchen and I just want to add a little bit of light shining off the pots behind her. Or like in this scenario here, I just used it to basically create this stream of light in front. She's actually lit by a MagGrid. That MagGrid is lighting her up, right? And it's actually going down, just kind of like we did in the very beginning there. But then I add a MagSnoot just streaming across the wall. I literally put it right up against the wall and allow it to stream across the wall so that it creates that complement of light. Now, the MagSnoot, just like the MagGrid, you guys, it's all magnetic. So the magnets are built right in here, and it just allows you to stick it right on the flash. And the great thing is if you want to create those same effects, but you want to add some color, the MagSnoot, you can actually add these gels right on the base of the MagSnoot. So right here, I can actually add these gels into my MagSnoot as well and use them to complement my scene. All right, guys, so hopefully this video has been useful in learning how to use the MagGrid and the MagSnoot for light control. Maybe it's given you a few ideas that you can use in your own work. Just in summary, the MagGrid, I love it for portraits, I love it for couples, I use it for composites. I love it when I'm using that rim light, so it's just lighting up my whole subject, or when I want that cool special light flare effect. Also, as I mentioned, I love the MagGrid to be able to stack them on top of each other. And remember, the more you stack, the tighter your beam will get. The MagSnoot, on the other hand, I love this for individuals when I want that very precise control. I want that super tight focus beam of light. I love it for details. So as a wedding photographer, when I'm shooting rings, I know a lot of photographers that are doing commercial will use it for different products as well. I especially love it as a hair light. That's when I probably use it the most, when it's in my scene, but it's kind of in the back and it's just lighting up the hair or the shoulders to create that separation of my subject from the background. And then of course, if I ever want just a complement of light in my scene. So if I want to light that, maybe in the example I showed, that light that went across the wall, or maybe I want to light up something in the scene that might add a little extra value to the photograph. So that's where I'll use the MagSnoot. Hopefully this video has given you guys some ideas. If you want even a ton more ideas, go check out the MagMod community on Facebook. Just search MagMod community and you'll pull it up. And then of course, if you guys need to hit us up with any support questions, just email us at support@magnetmod.com. Thanks for watching, everyone.